some of the business processes, their competitive advantage. So where it's competitive advantage, they keep their business process, existing business process. But where they can just integrate best practice, which incorporated in SAP, let's say, they implement this. So they just make their operation more effective, but still they keep their competitive advantage.
No, they don't make it more effective, they make it more like the standard system.
Right,
sorry,
but sometimes...
I mean, you talk about best practice.
Yep.
You mean the way the systems work.
Right.
Now, that isn't best practice, it's just
It is
the way the systems work. You know, and best practice is which is the best for the company. And
yeah,
you know...
I mean, when it's standard process,
there's no such thing as the standard process. There's the ideal process. There are some typical processes.
Yeah.
But the idea of standardizing, I mean, it's like standardizing animals. Now, you know,
okay,
most animals have a spine and back legs and forelegs or wings, etc.
Yeah.
And you can see the similarities.
Yeah.
But don't talk to me about standardizing animals.
Okay.
A kangaroo cannot run like a horse because it doesn't want to. And a horse cannot jump like a kangaroo because it doesn't want to. And there is no standard system of fitting muscles that would suit both kangaroos and horses. They are not standard, they are animals.
But look,
and companies are the same.
Yeah, but I mean, well, let's say that we have a business process which is for company considered to be not as important. I mean, it's not their competitive advantage. Yeah, but I mean, for example, they're making financial reporting. They're consolidating all their reports, and it's done with this existing business process in, let's say, 2 months for all the companies over the world.
Financial systems, I will accept, the accountants move around from company to company, and they've existed for many years, and financial reporting procedures are fairly standardized.
Yeah.
When it comes to production,
Yeah,
project management,
of course.
development, and distribution, it
Oh,
just
what about
depends.
inventory? I mean, there are best practices. I mean, it's not like only best practices for every company. There are best practices for each industry, for the size of company, and etc. So it's differentiated. I mean, it's not just like, for example, in previous version of SAP called R3, they were incorporated like 2,000 different best practices.
Yeah, I know, but inventory for a dockyard. Now, a dockyard is somewhere where any ship on the high sea may call in and want repairing. So they've got to carry steel stocks, chain stocks, welding equipment, and so on. But they never know what sort of ship is going to come in. Right? So there's need for a huge amount of flexibility. Now, you take a business like Asda, they've got two sorts of, well, they've got inventory for shops and inventory for the central warehouse. Okay? They're full of standard products, they are fast in and fast out. It's an entirely different world from inventory management in a dockyard, and that's entirely different from inventory management in a rubber company, and that's entirely different from inventory management in an oil company. Now, stop talking to me about typical companies and typical systems. There isn't one. Now, inventory sounds to a layman or an IT guy like it ought to be the same, because it's all called inventory. But if you're storing clay, China clay, right? You obviously, it's entirely different to storing tanks baked beans or storing oil, yeah? But it's only inventory management.
Yeah.
So don't try to build standard inventory management system.
Okay, but I mean, there still exist a lot of different products. You can integrate one ERP system, or you can make best of breed when you just integrate different modules of different systems, which best fits to your business. So, I mean, there are still opportunities to customize it. But there is trade-off. I mean, if you integrate one system, it's easier to maintain, it's easier to update. But for example, if you have customized system, your business is changing, you will have different needs tomorrow, and it will be difficult to update it, customize it to respond to these new challenges. So, my project, I'm as PwC consultant.
Well, the reason I said all what you're saying is 100% of what's in the books. It's been irritating me for years because as soon as they came out with this, I said it's never going to work. Now, that was 20 years ago, maybe. Right, certainly 15. Or 20 years ago. So, since then, the number of catastrophes in ERP systems implementation just grows every year. And everybody's still trotting out the same story. It's salesman splurge. This is bullshit. It isn't going to work. And that, unless there are risks, it's an issue. And
yeah, I absolutely agree with you, but still, this is a problem and it must be solved.
oh,
I mean, we can't just say...
I'm delighted
you know,
that you're looking at it, but trotting out this stuff like this,
Yeah.
I object to umpteen things that you put up already, and I tried to shut up because I wanted to hear all your thing before I started to discuss it. But,
Okay, you like this statistics.
yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean,
So you see, like, failure rate of ERP implementation projects are around 50%. This is recent survey, 246 organizations participated. 56% of respondents experienced over budget, 54% delayed projects, and almost 50% got less than 50% of the projected benefits.
We'd be interested to see how many of the 246 were both over budget and over schedule. By that much, yeah.
Well,
actually, so
mostly over budget, over schedule means over budget. Because you need to keep consultants.
yeah, you need both at the same time, just for that reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Two of my clients, when I worked for PwC, they recently integrated SAP, and they both experienced over budget and over schedule, and it doesn't work. So that's huge.
Do you know what? I sent around to everybody some overheads.
Yeah.
A number of PowerPoint files. And one of them had the spectrum of project requirements on it.
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody looked at that? Has anybody studied
I
that?
don't remember exactly.
Because MRP is at the slightly left of the centre of the spectrum. So it's basically for continuous manufacture,
Mm-hmm.
right? And heavily repeat mass manufacturing. It's completely unsuited for the process industries. And it's completely unsuited for the project industries.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the majority of these failures have come.
Mm-hmm.
Now, MRP is designed to solve the typical problems
Mm-hmm.
of companies at that point. But I worked as a consultant for a while
Mm-hmm.
in a company called Airship Industries. My introduction to them was a guy, you know what airships are? Blimps, yeah? So you can go down the huge filter gas. This guy rang up and said, are you Professor Robbins? And I said, yeah. And he said, I've been trying to speak to you. I want your advice, and I've been told you can tell me what sort of manufacturing control system we should use. Right? Now, I suppose the company is Airship Industries. And I said, you mean project management system, don't you? And he said, no, we want said, yeah, but you're building airships, aren't you? And he said, yes, I want a production control system for airships. So we talked about everything, and then I thought the spec was the answer. So I said, do you want to produce these continuously or on a batch basis or on a well-off basis? Right? So those are the three ideal types of the spectrum. And he said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, do you want to make them one at a time? Or do you want to make batches of 500 at a time? Or don't be silly. He said, you could only get one in the hangar. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's my point. Or do you want to make them continuously? I mean, do you want them sort of floating down a factory and sort of coming out the other end with everything being done as you go along? Oh, yeah, that's what we wanted, he said. So I said, look, how many an hour are you going to produce? And he said, what, don't be silly, we're on piece 3 a year. And I said, yeah, exactly. You want one off. That's a project management system, not a production control system. Oh, he said, we bought project management last week. I want production control this week. Now, I knew they were in trouble, right? I ended up putting a project management system in there. They sacked him. Good of a shame. He was very bright young man. But you see, unless you understand the difference between batch manufacture, line manufacture, continuous operating, and one-off projects. Now, the biggest failures here have been companies like British Aerospace. We were just talking about them. Now, they may build fighter jets and they may produce a few hundred, but it's hard, it's certainly not batch manufacture. It's basically one-off. Because the tech, you know, nuclear submarines. Now, tanks are a bit more like batch manufacture. So, bits of the SAP system might fit bits of the tank manufacturing bit of British Aerospace. Yeah.
May I explain?
I knew that. So this, I mean, when we could introduce an SAP system to British Aerospace, it didn't go effect. And it never has. And I think they're now on their fourth. They had SAP, then they went to BAR, then they went to SAP, and then they went back to BAR or something. It's never worked. They spent a few million times. Many millions every time. And British Aerospace is a monopoly supplier of the Ministry of Defence. And like her, I get pissed off because it's my money. Sorry.
So may I explain you my underlying reason why I took this? I mean, I'm not as consultant of PwC. We are not selling ERP solutions. We are just helping companies to integrate. So I'm going from the point that company already decided to implement ERP system, and now I'm just wondering how to help them to implement it more effectively and efficiently.
Yes,
You're aware of the implications of where we're coming from. You're saying these companies already decided how to put this square peg in this round hole, so I'm going to find out how to use risk management to help them. I'm telling you, you can use risk management if you like, or anything else. It's a square peg in a round hole, you're going to fit. And at the end of it, I mean, you know, and that's not a risk, it's an issue.
Yeah, but still we're charging money, so it's okay for me.
Okay. I look at it, six, it'll give me a round for spending so long. Go on, let's move on.
and Kelly voting herself on all the time.
Sorry.
Popular failures. Foxmere Drug Company, one of the biggest distributors of drugs in the United States, they go bankrupt because they tried to integrate ERP system, but they failed. And at the end, they were able to process only 2.4% of orders. So that was a failure. Cadbury has a problem with their operations. They've got surplus of inventory. NHS tried to, recent failures, tried to integrate ERP system, yeah. And let me check, they spent 12 billion pounds, but they failed. It doesn't work. And Ingram Micro, it sales dropped like for $14 million per quarter.
So you're saying the old systems before they tried worked, and they actually dropped their sales and put it in, right?
And how recently was the Cadbury failure? Because,
Cadbury.
yeah, how recently did that happen? Was that a while ago?
Uh,
We're referring
no,
to oversourcing the SAP crossover
in
until the
2005.
implementation. 2005.
Yeah.
I don't think he's working in them, but he's working there for a bit before his time. Very just.
Okay, so this is critical success factors for ERP implementation project. Yeah, it's difficult to see what's written here. Okay, so among factors, classic project management aspects like team composition, change management, culture, top management support, business plan and vision, project management, project champion, communication, and etc. And here you can see BPR. BPR stands for Business Process Reengineering. This is like older method of business process management, which were used by integrators. So I've just looked 17 different research papers and found out with which critical factors they came. So, for example, the first research paper came with these 5 critical factors, and etc. So, as you can see, BPR is considered as critical factor by 8 different research teams. So it's like really important critical factor for success.
Which is the highest level, change management culture and program.
Yeah, it's 40.
Top management support, and business plan and vision, and project management are all more important.
Yeah, they're more important, but area of my interest is business process management.
But I mean, you did this scoring, or you found that.
No, I did, yeah.
Yeah, but see, only because you didn't find evidence that they did that doesn't mean it isn't important. Maybe none of them does it, but it's still important.
But it says like critical success factors, so.
Yeah, but maybe they're just missing out on, maybe if you take the 3 appropriate businesses and IT, like.
Can I make another suggestion? Because, this is academia. It's still sounding awful like salesman. I mean, I love it, what you've done.
I mean, it's
not
only
I haven't
one
followed it
business.
through. Can we please change the heading to critical factors for failure? No, try it. And I think you'll find it actually is more indicative of what you're actually saying.
Okay. So, I've also participated in a webinar conducted by American consulting company who's helping integrating systems. They're not selling solutions, but helping companies to integrate. And I've asked the presenter how important is business process management and fraction of time and money spent on it. He said it's like the basic of the whole project, and like from 15 to 20% of time and money spent on it. So it's like very important area. These articles. So object of dissertation and scope. So what is BPM? BPM is a prerequisite to implementing ERP system. Before you implement ERP system, you need to make better your business processes. So Bill Gates came up with 2 rules. The first rule of any technology is that automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify the efficiency. And the second is that automation applied to an inefficient operation will magnify inefficiency. So once you've implemented business process management properly, it means that your ERP system will work better.
No.
Okay. I mean, this is the part.
You must find a way of automating the efficient processes.
Yeah.
Saying, this is the way ERP works, so you must change your processes to be like this.
No, that's,
And then automating it, you immediately fall into the second one, because if that was the most efficient way of operating that business, 99 times out of 100, primitive, simple, thick, stupid people called entrepreneurs with money that make money out of that business would have run that business that way. And for software salesmen or consultants who are helping software salesmen and smoothing the implementation, who are all very good salesmen, who come along and start saying, change your system to be like this and it'll be better.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, they don't know what they're talking about. You've got to automate the existing system. And the whole principle of SAP Barman, from what you're saying, the whole of ERP, is based on this implementation philosophy. You must first make the company's systems run as required by the ERP system, and then it will be possible to implement it.
Right.
And I'm afraid
Yeah, so,
that is a wrong, it will never work. And try and find how to make it, you know, the objective that you're seeking is to see what this management can do to help it work.
yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, it will not work.
So this shows the flow. I mean, first you decide on your strategy. I mean, after you implement business process management as it should be for your business, not for ERP system.
Right.
And after you implement ERP system.
Well, if the ERP system fits it.
Fit? And,
After your business process management,
yeah.
you'll arrive at a process suited for the business.
Yeah.
If it is different to the process running in the ERP system, you can't move on to the third one.
Well, the idea that basic functionality that I was talking to you, like standard, they use 60 to
that's the best
75% use of best practices.
The best practices is bullshit.
Why?
Best practices best practices in the aerospace industry is not best practice in the shipping industry. It's different to best practice.
Absolutely.
In the construction industry, it's different to best practice. And you cannot have, the life cycles are different, everything's different. And this idea that one thing will fit all is just a salesman's dream, and a salesman
No,
millions out
it's
of it.
not only about SAP, like tier 1 vendors. For example, they exist.
Well, I don't care what tier they are.
I mean,
the concept of best practice.
I mean, yeah. Let me please. There are some small companies who are specializing on only particular industry. For example, there is a company who is making ERP system for auto parts suppliers.
That'll work.
Yeah, you see? So, industry differentiators, it's like other business processes which differentiate the company. They using like 50 to 60% use of best practices, and competitive advantage, little use of best practices. Agree? I mean,
Just go on.
yeah. Okay, so constraints and areas of interest. Manufacturing companies, this is constrained by my course, EVM, and mid-sized companies, which are interesting for me, because this is the area which is growing really fast. I mean, there are new vendors who is serving only this market. And that's it. The questions.
Ned has already asked all his questions.